They laugh at you. Because they don't know what it feels like to be underestimated by everyone in the room. They look down on you like you're weak, fragile, a background character in their story. I know that feeling and I embraced it. Because when the world spits on you, mocks you, writes you off, that's when the monster inside sharpens its claws. You think being the underdog is a curse. No, it's the perfect disguise. Nobody watches the runt until the runt rips their throat out. Being ignored is your camouflage. They'll turn their backs, laugh, dismiss you, and that's when you carve your blade into them. Shadows are the underdog's kingdom, and from the dark you strike loud enough to shake their entire world apart. They expect you to crawl. They expect you to beg. That's why every step forward slices their pride open. Nothing terrifies the comfortable more than the man they mocked still walking, still fighting, still refusing to die in the dirt they buried him in. Every breath you take after they counted you out is a declaration of war. Understand this. Pity is poison. If they pity you, spit it back in their faces. Because the underdog doesn't need their sympathy. He needs their disbelief. Their doubt is your weapon. Let them laugh. Let them smirk. Let them walk past. Because when you finally sink your fangs in, they'll remember that smile is the last mistake they ever made. You want to know why the strong crumble? Because they start believing their own applause. They get comfortable. They soften. They live on past victories. But the underdog, he's sharpening his teeth while they're celebrating. He's starving while they're feasting. And a starving beast fights different. He doesn't fight for glory. He fights to survive. And survival is ruthless. When I stand in front of a giant, I don't see a wall. I see prey that doesn't realize it's already bleeding. You think I care about being outnumbered? Numbers don't matter when every strike I throw is decisive. They can send 100 hands to break me, but all it takes is one of mine to crush their spirit. That's the advantage of the hunted. Desperation turns every movement into a statement. They want mercy. Mercy is for the privileged. The underdog doesn't know mercy. He only knows survival. And survival demands cruelty. Every strike, every move, every word should strip away their illusion of safety. Until they realize they're trapped in a cage with something they never understood. You. Heroes, champions, idols. They all bleed the same. The underdog's gift is that he learns to love the blood, learns to taste pain like it's fuel. You think that scares him? No. He's already been broken so many times that pain isn't a weakness anymore. It's a second heartbeat. Comfort makes men soft, but hunger for survival makes monsters unrecognizable. The underdog isn't playing their game. He's rewriting it in blood. They want rules? I'll drag them through the dirt and shatter those rules across their skulls. Because when you're starving, you don't follow law. You create chaos. They train for medals. You train for survival. That's the difference. The fight ends when the whistle blows. Yours ends only when you're the last one breathing. And there's nothing colder than a fighter who doesn't even care about winning. Only about not dying. They'll call you dirty, savage, unworthy. Let them. While they cling to pride, you cling to hunger. And hunger always wins. Because when the body gives out, when the crowd is gone, when the lights cut black, hunger is the only thing still alive in your chest. You've been called weak. Good. You've been called useless. Perfect. Every insult is a blade you swallow, and one day you spit it back sharper. Look at their faces when you rise after every beating. Confusion, fear, disbelief. They thought you'd stay down. They thought they buried you. But the underdog doesn't stay buried. He digs out with his bare hands, claws covered in blood, eyes burning with the hunger of something that refuses to die. And every time you rise, you don't just stand up. You come back sharper, heavier, meaner. That's why they fear you. Not because of what you are now, but because of what you'll become tomorrow. They know deep down the underdog they crushed today is the executioner waiting for them tomorrow. And tomorrow always comes. The nightmares they laughed off. Tomorrow they'll face them in flesh. The underdog they mocked grows teeth overnight. And when he arrives, there's no more mocking, no more laughing, only silence before the fall. They'll try to bargain, to reason, to remind you of who you used to be. But the underdog isn't who he was yesterday. He's what they created when they tried to break him. And that creation is colder, sharper, and merciless beyond recognition. And executioners don't give speeches. They don't negotiate. They swing the blade. They end the fight, and they leave nothing standing. That's the reality of the underdog. Every failure he endured was sharpening his axe. And when it falls, it's roll. They tried to erase you from the story, then write yourself back in blood. They tried to silence your voice, then roar until their ears split. The underdog never asks for a seat at the table. He kicks the whole table over and forces them to kneel in the wreckage. You've been treated like an afterthought. Good. You've been tossed aside. Perfect. Because the ones they dismiss the loudest are the ones that erupt the hardest. No spotlight, no applause, no mercy. Just raw evolution in the shadows. And when the light finally hits you, you don't step out as a man. You step out as the beast they can't chain anymore. Don't tell me about their strength. Strength means nothing when the will is diseased with pride. I've seen so-called champions fold when the pressure doubled. But I've never seen a starving dog quit until it tasted flesh. That's the difference. That's what you are meant to be. Quitting doesn't exist for the underdog. It's not in the blood. You can snap my bones, tear my flesh, blind my eyes, but you will never kill my will. That's what terrifies them. They can defeat the body, but they can't kill the obsession. An obsession doesn't need eyes to see or hands to fight. It devours regardless. They think survival is just living. No, survival is domination. Survival means you take their breath, their strength, their crown, and grind it under your heel. Because if I'm forced to crawl through hell, I'll make sure they burn in it alongside me. You either claw forward, or you rot. And I don't rot. I keep moving, even if my bones snap, even if my vision blurs, even if my lungs are drowning in blood. Because nothing is more terrifying than a man who refuses to understand the word stop. You know why they call it impossible? Because they want you to quit before you even try. But the underdog doesn't care about odds. He doesn't need permission, doesn't need probability. He thrives in the chaos where everyone else surrenders. That's where monsters are born. Every scar, every bruise, every broken bone. That's not damage. That's data. That's knowledge carved into flesh. They keep beating you thinking it weakens you, when in truth it forges you. You are becoming the weapon they will never be able to control. They'll try to crush you with trophies, with fame, with strength, with numbers, and none of it matters. Because they can't measure obsession. They can't measure the kind of madness that doesn't fight for applause, but fights because losing means extinction. And extinction isn't an option. Every doubt, every sneer, every loss you carry, it isn't a weight, it's fuel. You don't just fight back, you make them regret ever letting you stand up again. So listen closely. Being the underdog isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about becoming the beast they can't cage, the storm they can't predict, the nightmare that never stops coming. Underdog mentality is the weapon they'll never carry. You're not chasing validation. You're chasing survival. You're not aiming to impress. You're aiming to annihilate. That's the difference. While they're wondering about reputation, you're wondering about who bleeds first. Underdog mentality is colder than victory speeches. It doesn't care about applause or cameras. It only cares about results. Either you walk away breathing, or you don't walk at all. That's the law of the beast. Stripped of polish, stripped of pride, nothing but raw hunger. You want to know the truth? The underdog isn't here to prove he belongs. He's here to remind the world that belonging is a lie. The jungle doesn't care who's crowned king. It only cares who survives the night. And survival always favors the ruthless. And when the dust settles, when the lights go out, when the noise fades, who's left standing? Not the comfortable, not the pampered. It's the one who clawed through hate, through ridicule, through chains. The one they all dismissed. The underdog. The final beast. You think underdogs just rise? No. We drag everyone who doubted us into the mud. Face first, until they choke on their arrogance. We make examples out of the proud. We carve warnings into their bodies. And when they whisper your name after, it won't be respect. It'll be fear. And that's the beauty of it. By the time the underdog finally shows his teeth, the fight is already decided. Because the beast has been building, bleeding, hungering in silence for years. And when that silence breaks, when that roar rips through their world, nothing survives it. Nothing. That roar isn't just sound. It's vengeance sharpened into a weapon. It's every insult, every scar, every betrayal erupting at once. And when it hits, it doesn't echo. It erases. Entire legacies collapse under the scream of the underdog turned monster. They'll call it unfair. They'll call it unnatural. But nothing about survival was ever fair. Nothing about evolution was ever gentle. The underdog evolves by devouring those above him. And when he rises, it's always through a trail of corpses. And by the time the dust clears, there will be no debate. No excuses, no doubts. Only the sight of the beast they tried to bury, now standing at the top of their ruins. That's not victory. That's reclamation. That's the final definition of the underdog mentality. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're finished. Because by the time they realize the truth, by the time they see the monster that grew in the shadows, it will already be too late. And you will be standing over them. The last one left. The final beast.